What's going on, y'all? Welcome to what I believe it will be the very first episode of Dyslexic and Proud. Been meaning to do this for a while, been putting it off, and was doing some work here at the table, sending out some messages around our family literacy night that's coming up. And doing so, I just kept thinking about doing this, and so I said, you know what? Let me get together a little thumbnail. Let me figure out how to do this, and let me start going live with my dyslexic. Take it back. Dyslexic and Proud. Again, my name is Brent Johnstone, co-founder of FathersRead365, and right now you're checking out I can't get the word out, y'all. Name of my little thing. Name of my little show. Dyslexic and Proud. You're checking out Dyslexic and Proud. Y'all seeing me stumble through the first steps of it. I want to go back and look at this at some time later and just laugh at it because again, this is right off the whim. Let me just do it. Let me start this because I've been trying to get this conversation started for a while, and the only thing that's really been stopping me is me. So with that said, just wanted to jump out here and start the discussion around dyslexia. What is dyslexia? What are some of the facts about dyslexia? What do people who have dyslexia look like? What do their lives look like? What does their dyslexia look like? Because of my understanding that everyone experiences dyslexia different. I want to get to the name of the title, Dyslexic and Proud. I live with dyslexia. I'm a dyslexic. How I found out, um, I didn't quite know as a kid, but I knew something was wrong. I struggled in school a lot. Had a very hard time in school. Always usually got C's to F's. Was a class clown. Not a bad one. Got along with my teachers a lot. My mom was very involved, but my school experience, which I will speak to in the episode on here called educational trauma. Maybe reach out to some people who've actually experienced educational trauma, a word that I'm starting to really come to grips with and realize that I live with, is educational trauma. But dyslexia and proud. Why do I want to name this show? Why do I want to name this movement? Why am I stepping up to claim this dyslexic and proud title? Because living with dyslexia, there can be a lot of shame. There could be a lot of things that you hide. Most people won't tell you they have dyslexia. A lot of people don't even realize they have dyslexia. They've never been diagnosed. And how I was diagnosed, I was in college. Though I struggled a lot in college, I was a very good athlete and got a offered 5 scholarships. Ended up going to Temple University on a football scholarship in 1994. And at Temple, my brother went there for years before. For like 3 years prior, I would always come hang out at Temple, had a good time. I had a ball at Temple. I basically went to Temple for my whole 90s. And I would just go down there on the weekends. And then when I started to go to school, I had to start to go to class. And, I was like, man, no, I don't remember classes. I remember parties, 40s, all that type of stuff. It was a good time on the weekends. It wasn't necessarily class. So when I started to go to class, one of the things I fear and the story that I share with other people, when my dad came to pick me up for football camp, he was at work. He was a Temple cop. He came pick me up. He took me down to report for camp. And I remember that whole car ride there. I was so nervous. We were talking football, and I put up a good front because, talking football, I was confident in myself. I knew a lot of guys on the team. So I wasn't scared. It wasn't like this great new, horizon for me. I knew everyone at Temple. So I was going there, but I was scared about failing. I was scared about actually going to class and doing work. And I wanted to tell my dad so bad that I thought I was going to fail out of school because I didn't think I was ready for school. I didn't think I could go to college and compete on that level school wise. But I never told him. I never told him. I never told him. And I just always wish he's not no longer with us. And I wish we could have had that conversation. And the reason why we didn't have it was because of me and being afraid to admit and be vulnerable and say, hey, I don't think I'm going to do well in school. And I know he would have propped me up. I know he would have, gave me some love, life lessons and, pushed me to do good, right? But that didn't happen, and it's just something I wish would happen. So I got to school and I started, doing bad. I started missing classes. I started with a lot going on. But long story short, um, believe it was my first or second summer in college, I did a uh, independent study. I did an independent study, and you had to write a 25-page paper, and you didn't have to go to class for the whole semester. That was your class, and rush through the paper. I'm a good writer. I'm very creative with writing. An author of several books, and I wrote this 25-page paper. It drained me, but I got it out. And I took it to Karen Williams. Shout out Karen Williams at Temple University. She was our academic advisor at the time. Karen Williams changed my life. I will always say that, and I'm indebted to her for that. She looked at the paper for about a minute. She looked at me. She read some more, then she looked back at me, and she said, "Have you ever been tested?" And I said, "Tested for what?" She said, "Tested for dyslexia." And I said, "No, but Karen, I know something is wrong." And that was the journey. That's where the journey started for me because I played on a football team. I was over 18 at the time. I was sent to up to a surgeon, a doctor at Temple University Hospital. Went to the appointment. It was discovered that I lived with dyslexia, mild dyslexia, and ADD. And that was the journey. And that was the journey. And I tell a lot of parents, because a lot of parents don't want their kids to have this, to be labeled or have this, whatever it is, right? The label is what they use a lot of time. The day I quote unquote became labeled with dyslexia was the best day in my life. Because imagine this, guys. Imagine living for 19, 20 years, going through school, struggling, living with this educational trauma that I'm telling you guys about, and not understanding why you're in this position, not understanding why when you're reading it's taking you so long, not understand why when you're reading you read the words but you don't know what the words said, and just having this frustration. So now I heard the word, and I've heard this word before, dyslexia, and I have it, and it was like, great, I have dyslexia. And the reason why I say that is because normally when you are diagnosed with something, there are ways to cure or to work to be better with living with that diagnosis. And that's what I knew was possible. And I can admit and will admit that I probably haven't received, I know I haven't received the proper resources and levels of help that I need. However, I've been able to push a lot of other people to do it, which is crazy. But anyway, my point is, at that time at Temple, discovered with dyslexia, and if it came like, okay, I understand what I have, and how can we help this? And one of the best things that happened to me is um, I started to get accommodations at Temple. And that's what really got me through my last years. I went from failing out at Temple one semester to coming back and getting a 2.98, I believe, 2.98 or 2.92, which was my highest grade semester average GPA, whatever it was, for a semester. Before then, honestly, guys, I would take 4 classes and I would focus on passing one. I would take 2 other classes that I knew I could take repeats in, right? And they didn't count against me. So I would just keep repeating these classes. And the other one I would try, but I usually failed it or withdrew from it. And that could only go on for so long before I ended up being kicked out of school and not doing well. But once I was diagnosed with dyslexia and began to get accommodations, began to get help, one of the accommodations was time tests. I got to take whatever time the class was, I got double that time to take a test. And one of the things I'll tell you why that's important, because I have some facts I want to run off real quick about dyslexia, and I want to make this too long, but I want to make these informative, and I want to give you a reason to keep coming back and checking these joints out, and maybe identifying, hey, that's what my son said, or that's what my brother said, or that's what my daughter said. Maybe I should check to see if this child could be dyslexic, possibly dyslexic. And I also want to get into some of the ugliness around it, right? Because you may not find a lot of help in school. It's a lot of teachers who don't know about dyslexia. They don't understand dyslexia, have never been taught about dyslexia. So when you pop up as a parent saying, hey, my child is reading, I mean, excuse me, my child is struggling reading, and you start talking about possibly being dyslexic or getting screened for dyslexia and yada, yada, yada. and they have no idea what you're talking about. And that's a shame. That's a shame, because anyone in the school should definitely know about dyslexia. Anyone teaching reading should be like a master in dyslexia, because dyslexia is very, very prevalent in our schools and our people in our country. So let me give you a couple quick facts about dyslexia, right? Um, move this over so I can read this other screen I'm looking at. Hopefully y'all can see me good. And I see some people jumping in. I don't see any comments, but I see y'all on this joint, so that's what's up. Appreciate y'all for joining the live. Dyslexia and Proud. This is a rough start, but it's a start. I want to make it a start. I want to start sharing information about dyslexia, start having this conversation. And again, I want people who live with dyslexia, we have to take ownership of being proud of who we are. There's a lot of hiding dyslexia. There's a lot of being ashamed of it. I hated living with dyslexia for years. And one day a guy said to me, hey, did you ever think this may be a blessing? And that totally, and the guy was Mark Baxter. I gotta give him a shout out. Mark Baxter, a good friend, played football with me at school, Temple. And he said, because you will talk about it, right? And because you talk about it, maybe you're able to help others, right? So that way of thinking around dyslexia and owning it and being, it is what it is. I was born with it, I live with it. I'm gonna be proud of who I am, so I'm gonna be proud dyslexic as well. So let me tell you guys what dyslexia is. Dyslexia is complex, but in simple terms, a typically developing child has unusual trouble reading, writing, spelling words quickly and accurately. I'll read that one more time. Dyslexia is complex, but in simple terms, a typically developing child has unusual trouble reading, writing, spelling words quickly and accurately. And I'll put that in I'll put that in from how I experienced that. Typically, developing child has unusual trouble reading. I have a lot of trouble with reading, and it's not necessarily reading the words as much as how long it takes me to read it, right? When they say spelling words quickly, reading accurately, it takes me a long time to read. And when I was in class, it would be so frustrating because the teacher would say, hey, take 2 minutes, read this passage, and then we'll discuss it. And in 2 minutes, everyone looks up, they start discussing it, and I'm like, man, I'm on the second paragraph. Like, how did they finish that in 2 minutes and I'm still not even halfway done? And that's when that starts to creep in you as a young child, that insecurities, that, God, I believed I was dumb. I believed I was dumb for many, many years of my life. I believe I was school dumb. I thought I was bright outside of school, but in school, I just knew it wasn't me. So usually has trouble reading doesn't mean that the kid can't read, right? He has trouble with reading. So a lot of times when you hear dyslexia, people think, dumb, or that guy can't read, or they're stupid, or whatever. They see everything backwards, upside down. No, again, it's a typically developing child has excuse me, a developing child has unusual trouble reading, writing, spelling words quickly and accurately. And you can even see this at times when because I'm reading right now. You keep seeing me stumbling and having issues and having to slow down to say the words. You're seeing in real time me struggle with my dyslexia with reading. But writing, my handwriting was always very sloppy. It was a joke in my house. My mom said, your handwriting look like chicken scratch. And I had such a hard time with writing to the point where when I did write things, I wouldn't even understand what I wrote a lot of times. When I went back to look at what I wrote, try to take notes, I couldn't even understand my own handwriting. So if you see a child that has very bad handwriting, or a person that has very bad handwriting that a lot of times they or yourself may not understand. Not saying that person has dyslexia, but um, you know, you may want to look into it. Spelling words, I hated spelling. There's a running joke that I told at my grandma's funeral because that was my buddy. She used to help me get out of spelling tests. Or she didn't know she was helping me get out of spelling tests, but she was helping me get out of spelling tests on Fridays because to this day I struggle with spelling words. Shout out to Grammarly, Chat GPT, all these things that help you spell now because it's been a godsend for me because I struggle with spelling, and a lot of kids who are dyslexic have trouble with spelling words. Um, especially quickly, right? And so you're spelling words quickly or accurately. If you can't get it down fast enough and you're not writing the right things, you see how that can become troublesome in school, right? You see when kids start, they talk about the kid who has dyslexia who at times can act out. You see why, right? Just imagine being in class and you're trying to read, everyone's reading faster than you. You're trying to write, everyone's writing faster than you. You're trying to spell, everyone's spelling faster, better than you. And that becomes frustrating, right? You're trying to write these words. Hey, here go 3 words on a chalkboard. Write these 3 words down, and then we're going to move on. You're at the middle of the second word, and she's erasing the board. That's frustrating. That gets you upset. That you keep raising your hand. Hey, don't erase it yet. Don't erase it yet. Don't erase it yet. Right? And then you start to feel like, well, I'm the only one asking for the teacher not to erase the board yet because I'm having time writing these words down. And again, when you're 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, drowning in these classrooms, that means a lot. That means a whole lot. And imagine going through that from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 180 days from kindergarten to high school. Guys, living with dyslexia is a lot. It's a lot, and it's why I'm trying to point out why I'm speaking to being proud with living with dyslexia. Because when you live with dyslexia, especially when it's undiagnosed, you don't have a support system that understands it. It beats you down. It starts to make it feel like you're the only person with this. How much talk do we hear about dyslexia in our everyday world? And that's one of the aims of this channel. Please, guys, like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to get my YouTube lingo down, but like, share, and subscribe these YouTubes because this can help somebody. Dyslexia is connected a lot to alcoholism. It's connected a lot to drug use. It's connected a lot to school dropout. It's connected a lot to suicide. And my mission and the people that I work with through Fathers Read, through our Ready First collaborative, we want a brighter day. We want a brighter day for our children. And the way we can make sure that happens is if we put in the work, if we start to ring the bell and don't stop ringing the bell until people hear this bell ringing constantly about dyslexia, about how do we help children with dyslexia, about how do we help people in general with dyslexia, and guys who live with dyslexia. I see you. 2 pounds to the heart, baby. I see you. And I just want you to know that I understand what it feels like to get home at 3:30 from a day of school and just feel exhausted, feel drained, just want to lay down, just want to take a nap, just want to get a glass of water and relax and get some type of, you know, a sense of regularness to your life, just want to jump on a game and play the game or something because for 8 hours you were just in an ocean drowning and no one was throwing you life rafts, no one was helping you, and you survived, and you just wanted to come home and relax, man. Relax, take a break, take it all, right? Don't rush to do that homework. And I'm telling you that because you know what happens when you start to do the homework again, right? So guys, I see you. Love you guys. Want to help you guys as more as I can, trying to push our movement forward. As far as with Fathers Read 365, trying to push our movement forward with the Ready First collaborative. I will explain more about both in future lives. This mic not even working. I just like the look of it. But listen, Dyslexic and Proud. I feel good. I got it started. I'm gonna start sharing this. I'm gonna start creating better ways of presenting on here, get me a show script, and really do this the way, get me some guests, right? Get some guests to come through, come through sometimes to talk through issues of dyslexia. It's a lot of kids out there I want to get on. I just did a great interview with a kid, I believe, from Wyoming or Montana. I think he's in Wyoming, Riker. Kid is doing a documentary on dyslexia. I can't wait to meet that guy. He's a true, like, I talked to him, I was like, oh man, this is my little white brother from Wyoming right here. To hear him speak about dyslexia and the things he want to change and how he wants to change it, and to be 15 years old, I believe he is, to have the heart that he has. You know what I mean? I see you, bro. I wish you the best. To anyone living with dyslexia, listen, guys, Don't be ashamed of who you are. Don't be ashamed of what we have. It actually makes us, and I'll end on this piece. The reason why I speak to Dyslexic and Proud is when that guy, Mark Baxter, told me, hey, did you ever look at dyslexia as a blessing? And he said, because you will talk about it, because you talk about it, you can help others. And it made me go home. We were at a happy hour that day, it was a Friday, and it made me go home that weekend. And I started to look up the characteristics of, people who have dyslexia. And when I started to read these characteristics, I'm like, wow, man, these are things I really like about who I am. These are things that they are speaking to things that I'm good at, things that I like about myself. And I started to think, well, maybe if I didn't have dyslexia, I wouldn't be who I love. And that's me. You know what I'm saying? And I really started because I hate it, man. I used to talk about dyslexia in the worst way. Like I hated it. I hated it. It hurt. And trying to find ways to make myself feel better and not beat myself up over something that I didn't create, right? This happened. This is how I was born. And I just want to share that with people that, we should be proud of who we are. We go through more than most people do in a regular day, and we come out every day on top. And we learn, we strive, we're expected to do the same things with a lot less help or resources, but we hang in there, we finish strong, and we do things with no help where there should be help. And that's what we gotta find. We gotta find ways to help more of us who live with dyslexia, um, because it could be dark. It could be really dark. It could be a scary place, but we know how to work with children who have dyslexia. We know how to work with families who have dyslexia, and we have to do that more. When I say we, I mean our country. I mean we, the people. And I'll leave it right there for the day, guys. I'm dyslexic. I'm proud, and just want to shout out to everyone who lives with dyslexia. I see you. I love you. I feel your pain. I also feel your victories because we are victorious people. Um, and anyone who has a kid living with dyslexia, I see you as well if you're advocating out there. Don't stop. The best people I've met in this world are mothers of children with dyslexia. And guys, never forget to be proud of who you are. Dyslexia is just one part of who we are as people. And hopefully, you can get through the next day living with it and try to way to, you know, got a little emotional, so I'm messing up my words right now. But overall, guy, be proud of who you are. Keep fighting. People are out there advocating for dyslexics. Please keep advocating. Anyone who sees this, who thinks this message can help somebody, please like, share, subscribe to Fathers Read 365. Again, my name is Brent Johnstone. I live with dyslexia. I am dyslexic and proud, and I'm gonna sign off for right now. But please, guys, like, share, and subscribe to the page. Please share this with anyone who lives with dyslexia, anyone who needs to know more about dyslexia. We're going to turn this page up a little bit more. And for all the people that actually jumped on and was watching, thank you, guys. We'll be back. I'm gonna figure this out, but please stick with us. Reading is Love, the documentary will be out this year. Um, executive produced by Keith Staples and Brent Johnstone, directed by Amber Monet Spencer. Yeah, check that out, and we out for the day. Until the next time, love you guys. I'm dyslexic and proud.